One of the most chilling episodes of censorship I've ever seen occurred yesterday during the outbreak of a bombshell story from the New York Post involving Hunter Biden's emails, the Ukrainian energy company that I'm sure you're all familiar with now, Burisma, and of course, the former vice president vying for his turn in the Oval Office. Let's start at the beginning, because it's very complicated. We got a first glimpse at the story early in the day, with some breaking news from the Post that they had obtained alleged emails of Hunter's from a laptop, presumably that he dropped off at a computer repair shop in April 2019, and then forgot to pick up. The computer, according to a subpoena obtained by the New York Post, was then requisitioned by the FBI in December 2019, but then had its contents copied over to a separate drive of the store owner at the time. The separate drive was then reportedly shared with former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani's lawyer and was known to former Trump advisor Steve Bannon in September. Then, on Sunday, the Post was provided with those emails by Rudy Giuliani. I want to be ultra clear about the methods here, because they're sketchy. And we learned about these alleged emails because it comes important as we look at the claims of the story itself. The story details how an alleged email shows Hunter Biden attempting to introduce his father, then the sitting vice president of the United States, to a Ukrainian advisor of the board of Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company, which at that time was paying Hunter at least $50,000 per month. Now, one of the obtained emails shows this board advisor asking Hunter for, quote, advice on how you could use your influence on the company's behalf. So the Burisma story that they all told us was completely fake turns out to have a lot of truth to it, huh? And to boot, that other emails obtained by the Post actually show Hunter leveraging his status as the son of the former vice president as a way to increase his compensation from Burisma, because apparently 50 grand a month was not good enough. Apparently needed 25,000 more per month. So these are the facts. These are alleged emails obtained by the New York Post. In a sketchy manner, for sure. But the emails themselves are absolutely newsworthy. And that's all journalists should really care about. Well, no. Why? Because the people who published the Steele dossier, the people who blew up every single fake Russiagate story day after day, month after month, year after year, have suddenly become very concerned about sourcing. Kyle Griffin, who is an annoying NBC toady popular amongst blue checks, tweeted, quote, no one should link to or share the New York Post report. You can discuss the obvious flaws and unanswerable questions in the report without amplifying what appears to be disinformation. That's odd. Why is a journalist asking everyone to ignore a story? Shouldn't they just ask the Biden campaign for their response, or maybe, put more information out there, add context? I mean, look, Rudy Giuliani is not exactly the paragon of truth. I think it's natural to be skeptical. I'm skeptical. But when given the opportunity to respond, the Biden campaign simply said an alleged meeting within the New York Post story never took place on the official schedule. They at no time denied the veracity of the emails. And you bet that if they were actually fake, they would have said so. Meaning the emails are true and that the story on its face is legitimate. But what happened next is what really concerns me, because I watched in real time as a talking point for mainstream journalists quickly became marching order of the day for the largest tech companies in the world. Andy Stone, a communications officer for Facebook, he quickly tweeted, quote, while I will intentionally not link to the New York Post, I want to be clear. This story is eligible to be fact-checked by Facebook's third-party fact-checking partners. In the meantime, we are reducing its distribution on our platform. Let that sink in. Facebook is openly saying they have decided to internally stop the spread of this story on their platform, not because it's been proven false, because they just decided to. Stone, by the way, had previous jobs as a Democratic consultant and strategist. It's like they don't even try to hide it, but it gets worse. Shortly afterwards, Twitter announced that in accordance with its, quote, hacked materials policy, it would be straight up censoring the link to the New York Post story. You couldn't even tweet it if you wanted to. And if you had already done so, it would not take you directly to the website. This is the most overt act of big tech censorship we have ever seen. They crossed a line that literally cannot be uncrossed. Think about this. If this New York Post story is banned from Twitter because it originated from quote-unquote hacked materials, which these aren't even hacked, does that now mean that everything Edward Snowden revealed is now banned from Twitter? As Lee Fong of The Intercept note, hacked materials include the Pentagon Papers, FBI files on COINTELPRO, Trump's tax returns obtained illegally. All important stories in their own rights. Will Twitter be banning those? Of course not. This is political interference in the election. Let's take Facebook's justification, which is that we don't know the origin of the emails. Do we ever know the origin of important leaked documents in the New York Times? No, and maybe we shouldn't, to protect sources. And in the cases that they don't care, think about this. The Atlantic story about Trump supposedly saying terrible things about troops. That was anonymously sourced. Origin is unclear to me. It has major implications. Should that be slowed down on Facebook's Twitter system? Should be banned from Twitter? These are just recent stories. Every single one of us can come up with other examples. I have to be honest. This scares the hell out of me because they actually did it. They crossed a line. They essentially declared open partisan warfare. And I want to emphasize this to you. This never stays in one lane. Today was the New York Post story about Hunter Biden. But envision this scenario. An establishment Democrat is running against a progressive. Leaked emails show the establishment Dem coordinating with corporate lobbyists. And then that establishment Dem gets Twitter or Facebook to ban the story. To ban even a progressive Democrat from trying to fundraise off of it. That is now within the realm of possibility. If you think it won't happen, don't complain to me in a few years when it does. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. This is it. They've made their choice. The only recourse we have left is the government.
Nobody even knew they had this capability where you couldn't link to it, you couldn't DM it.
I had tweeted in the morning, you couldn't even click on the link.
Then they shut down Kayleigh McEnany, the White House press secretary. They shut down her account for tweeting this out. This is total madness. And of course, the context really matters here of 20 days till the election, one of the most fraught elections of our time.